Welcome to the States, powered by the Center Square. It's Monday, June 15th, 2026, and I'm your host, Greg Bishop. Now, many of you may know me from hosting the Center Square daily. Before that, Illinois in Focus, where we updated audiences on the happenings of Illinois state government. You may also be familiar with me asking tough questions of elected officials on the ground at the state capitol, or breaking down complex policy issues and the legislative process. Now the team and I here at the Center Square, very excited to deliver that same work ethic to you daily with the states. We'll review what state houses across the country are doing and how you, the taxpayer, are being impacted. So be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay informed Monday through Friday here with the states, powered by the Center Square. Hope you all had a great weekend on your way to work today. Did you take note of the price at the pump? What about the prices at the grocery store? As we'll see here, you're paying less at the pump than last week, but your pocketbook is surely feeling the impact of increased prices across the board. Now, President Donald Trump, after a big night on the White House lawn with the UFC and their title card, he's now visiting European allies after he's criticized them time and again. And also, it's a day after the United States announced that there could be a deal with Iran and a peace deal coming together. Details on that could impact the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the president writing on social media recently that with the ongoing straits upon signing the deal on Friday for the purpose of oil will flow, and both ends are going to be seeing that region open back up. Now, specific details about this deal not yet released. And you've got the Prime Minister of Pakistan recognizing that a deal is expected to be signed in Switzerland Friday. Now, Pakistan has helped mediate peace talks between the United States and Iran. It's unclear whether an end to Iran's nuclear program, one of Trump's sticking points, will actually be part of the deal between the two nations. Now, on this note, oil prices did drop nearly 13% from the middle of last week after this announcement. Price of Brent crude went around $83 a barrel Monday and $80 per barrel for West Texas Intermediate, two standards for prices around the world. Now, during the conflict, oil prices shot up to as much as $126 per barrel. It could take several months for oil prices to return to expected levels. But where are we at right now? Well, if you look at the latest AAA regular gas price average across the country, you're sitting at about $4.06. Last month, it was $4.52. So we're about 50 cents less than it was last month. But look at that number from last year, $3.13 a gallon. So still a lot of movement that can be made to stop impacting your pocketbook at the pump. Now, economist Orphe Divounguy, he shared with the Center Square this week that economic data, it's telling a clear story. Americans are earning more dollars, but they're buying less. The economy looks fine on paper, he says, and doesn't feel fine on the kitchen table. Over the past year, the basket of goods got 4.2% more expensive. Looking at some of the other areas of the latest inflation report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that's the fastest pace in 3 years, and the pain lands exactly where families can't dodge it, Orphe says. Energy's up 23.5%, gas up 40.5%, all of that driving higher costs for other goods. Groceries up 3.1%, and you have airfare up almost 27%. Now, some of the other areas, you're not seeing as much of an increase. Again, energy is going to drive a lot of those goods. Gas 40%, airfare 27%, but used vehicles was actually down 2%, medical care down 1.8%. But are wages keeping up? Not really, according to Divounguy. Pay is up about 3.4% in dollar terms. It sounds good until you subtract that inflation level that we're seeing of over 4%. So once you do that, the average hourly wage actually fell 0.8% over the year. So more dollars you're getting, but you're not able to buy more stuff. Now, speaking of high prices and how affordability remains a top priority for voters, there is an election coming up in November. Surely there are going to be conversations about who controls Congress and what that looks like midterm for President Donald Trump's second non-consecutive term. But let's get a gauge of what the main issues are for voters in the land of Lincoln. Joining us to discuss that is Colin Corbett, an independent candidate for Illinois governor. Colin, thanks for taking time with us. I definitely want to talk about where you're finding yourself this week, but let's go ahead and jump first into those main issues that you're hearing from voters all across the state.
Yeah, you nailed it. It's affordability. Wages aren't going up at the same speed as inflation, as costs, and people feel it. You can throw around whatever stats you want about the economy and Wall Street, but on Main Street or kitchen tables, as you put it, people don't feel like life is more affordable. In fact, here in Illinois, we test it every 3 months. We ask voters, do you feel like it's affordable to live in this state or unaffordable? And a massive majority say it's unaffordable. Not just Republicans or independents, even Democrats, which usually you don't see people go against their own party in their own state. But even Democrats in Illinois say, yeah, it's unaffordable to live here. It's because those costs just keep going up and up. And in Illinois, we've been 43rd in GDP growth and 43rd in wage growth since J.B. Pritzker took office. So our wages just not only haven't been keeping up recently, they haven't been keeping up for 8 years.
Well, and we talked a lot about the price of energy and how that's hitting people when it comes to the price of goods with inflation. But Illinois kind of does stick out from other states, even in the region, for taxation, for business climate, for a whole host of other issues that taxpayers are being impacted by. How would you reverse those trends?
Yeah, it's about an actual agenda that helps working families. You mentioned energy costs. I did a video last week in front of an energy plant that used to be pumping out 1,350 megawatts of power for surrounding families. And because of our bad energy policies in Illinois, they put 6 of those gas turbines on a flatbed truck and sent them down to Texas, because Texas is open for business and Illinois isn't. That's 900 megawatts that's not being produced here in Illinois anymore. That's the equivalent of 600 to 900,000 homes that aren't being powered, or 2 million solar panels. It's just bad policy in Illinois, whether it's on energy policy, housing. You mentioned taxes. Property taxes are just out of control in this state. It's because we have too many politicians who are focused more on beating the other side or coming up with a good line that works in a TV ad, instead of actually doing the hard work to change our policy to actually fix things and make people's lives better.
Another example is the difference between Illinois and Indiana, and we could probably spend 30 minutes just talking about the Bears.
I'm competitive about Indiana.
Yeah, and we could spend a lot of time talking about whether the Chicago Bears are going to be from Chicago anymore. But I want you to talk to why Illinois is so important to those who don't live in Illinois, to those who may be in Indiana or Texas or Florida or Washington State or Pennsylvania. Why is what happens in Illinois important to them?
Yeah, Illinois is the economic driver of the whole Midwest, and I'd say, frankly, the country. We're the transportation hub of the country. Something like 2/3 to 3/4 of all trains go through Illinois. We've got multiple major rivers and Lake Michigan and airlines and roads. Everything goes through Illinois, and so how Illinois goes, so goes the Midwest, and so goes the country. There's a reason why when you see people move out of Illinois and go to Wisconsin or Indiana, they go right to the border, because they still want to work in Illinois. They just don't want to live in Illinois and pay our taxes in Illinois and our costs in Illinois. This is an economic driver for the whole country. I always say that Illinois should be the capital of the Midwest. We don't act like it too often, but we absolutely should be. And so you don't have to be from Illinois to care about how Illinois goes, because if our economy were to get back to succeeding here in this state, that would help the entire region and the entire country. And that's what we all should want.
Finally, greatly appreciate you standing in a parking lot under the sun. Thankfully, it's not 90 plus degrees in central Illinois, but we see the Illinois State Board of Elections behind you. Colin, you are running as an independent candidate for governor. There's already a established party candidate for Republicans, an established party candidate for the incumbent Democrats, J.B. Pritzker. Talk about the process you're embroiled in this week. What does it look like? And will you actually be on the ballot in November?
Well, thank you and your producers for being patient with this hokey setup. Usually I'd be in studio and have a nice camera, so we appreciate your patience with all this. I'm standing outside the State Board of Elections because we've been objected to. The ballot access laws in Illinois are, it's just rigged. There's no other way I can put it. If you want to run as a Republican or a Democrat, you only need 5,000 signatures. You want to run as an independent or third-party candidate, you need 25,000. Plus there's extra rules put on who can circulate. If I didn't have 20 years of political experience and all the connections that I have, there's no way that I could have even gotten to this point. Everyday people just can't run for office in this state unless you decide to run under one of the two parties. And so the system is rigged against third-party candidates, independent candidates. When we beat this challenge, which we will, we're on a good pace, we're going to beat it. When we beat it, we're going to be only the third independent candidate for governor in 86 years in Illinois, and the first real, serious third-party or independent candidate since 1912. So the system is set up to keep this from happening. The two parties want to hold on to their control, but when you take on a broken system, you expect it's going to fight back. That's what they're doing right now, but we're going to beat it.
Colin Corbett, independent candidate for Illinois governor, greatly appreciate your time, and we'll definitely be checking in to see how that process goes and whether or not Colin is actually going to be certified for the November ballot to face Democrat Governor J.B. Pritzker and Republican gubernatorial candidate Darren Bailey. It's right here with The States, powered by the Center Square.